Howdy, howdy, howdy. How are y'all doing? Oh my, I'm sure y'all are doing a little bit like me. What a crazy 24 hours in the Big Brother house. Oh my gosh, we're going to talk about it all. I hope y'all brought y'all's questions because I want to hear what y'all think about it. We got some things to talk about. All right, before we do any of that, first of all, big old SKD 143. Love my wife, love my kids, love the fellow reality TV fans, especially love you guys that hang out with me in the Monday evenings or watch it on replay later. And I got to say, I really love Big Brother. Yeah, this is what we waited for. Kind of boring. To some degree, last year, there was a lot of boring sections. Not so boring this season and this particular week, this particular day. Yeah, it was tough. I was going around visiting clients all day long. What a rough day to be doing a lot of road trip visits and all of that. Hearing everything that's going on in the house, trying to go back out and check it all out, see what's going on, trying to get caught up. Crazy times. It's been a lot of fun. So howdy to all of y'all. Let me check real quick and see who's out here. Well, before I do that, first of all, I know I've got some new folks out here. So if you have not already been out here or not familiar with Cliff Notes Live, it's all about questions and I'll talk about it, offer my opinions. I want to hear y'all's. But I do this on Monday nights. I also do my morning recaps every morning. If you're so inclined, please consider subscribing to this channel, turning on notifications, hit the thumbs up because I guess that does something good for algorithms and all of that. So the channel gets noticed a little bit more, which I always appreciate that. But yeah, please consider subscribing and turning on notifications to this channel. All right, with that out of the way, let's see who all's out here because I know there's a few of y'all. Brian Hostel, Brian, how are you doing, sir? Get my mouse going here. Brian, all right, let's see. Karen Berkey, hey Karen, how are you? Marilyn Sutherland, Marshall Davis, Tammy Flanagan. I'm going fast because I feel like last week it's spent way too much time to this. Ryan 51, Angie Hung. Hey Angie, how are you? Let's see. Mark, did I say your name? I'll say it again. Let's see. Jake the Horror Movie Geek. Jake, how are you? Let's see. Desiree Watts. Desiree, how are you? One Eye Willie, Lee Strack, Paula Scar, Cindy Hire. Hi, Cindy. I love seeing all these names out here. Julia Shepard, Anna Wee, YTCJ Star 1015. Hey, 1015. I just say that this time. Cash Wash, howdy. Ma, how are you doing, Ma? I saw that you were out here last week. I missed, I think, didn't see you in the very beginning and then missed you later. I hope you were doing fantastic. Let's see who else. Ken T, Marion, Kennedy Franklin. Hey, Kennedy. Julia, I may have gotten you, but I'll say again. Tim Cox as well. Tommy Braskett. Tommy, howdy. And let's see who we've got. Sandy O, Doreen Morse, Bev77, Colleen, Wyatt Garrett, how are you, sir? VIP Lady, Ken T, Dominique, Bessie is better. Oh, there's so many of y'all out here. Andy W, Brandon Burney, and Tim Bishop. And Tina Harlan Sansa. I couldn't leave you out, Tina. And Jacqueline Newberry. All right, we're going to shut it down there. Sorry if I couldn't get all the way down the list. I love y'all hanging out with me on any Monday evening, but especially this one. What do y'all know? All right, let me say this. If you are new, if you don't watch the live feeds, there are spoilers. Oh, Lord, are there spoilers tonight? Yeah, we're way ahead of what's happening in the TV episode. Sunday night was the last episode. What they show on there? We know who won the HOH. We know a whole lot more than that at this point in time. So there are spoilers. If you don't want to know, come back and watch this on a replay in a couple of days, and then you'll get to hear everything that we talked about. All right, so where do we even start? We had Cedric. Oh, let's start with this. Cedric wins HOH. Cedric says, I want a nice, easy HOH, just like Chelsea had. I don't want to shake anything up. I don't want any blood on my hands. It's easy this week. We've got Kenny. We've got Angela. No one likes either one of those two, or at least they're easy targets. We'll just put some random person as a pawn. There's no way they're going home. Does that not sound like the most predictable, boring week of Big Brother that you could possibly have? And then it all just blew up. And I still don't know. I've referred a few times to Hurricane Angela. Well, this is Typhoon Tucker. I absolutely, Tucker is blowing this house up. And I don't know if Tucker's doing it because he is just a hard, aggressive player that so far everything has gone his way. And so it's just building up steam like a train engine. I don't know if it's that or Tucker's just one of these people playing the game that's just like, I don't give a damn. I'm going to play hard. If I go, I go. If I stay, I stay. But I am who I am. I'll say this: Tucker is making a mark in Big Brother. There will be a lot of people talking about Tucker for a long time after this season. So we had Cedric thinking everything's just nice and easy. Next thing you know is that, well, maybe Tucker's won the veto. He's not going to use it on himself. They're going to throw Quinn under the bus. Now that's exciting all on its own, right? And now, do we do that, or do we? Well, first of all, Mackenzie forces the power out. Then we're going to throw Quinn under the bus, which is exciting. And then last minute, all of a sudden, it's like, oh no, that's not exciting enough. Let's tell Quinn everything that's going on and throw Tucker under the bus and let Quinn be part of the big alliance, which happened. And next thing you know, I'm talking on the phone to Sharon, who's saying, hey, they just called a house meeting. The place is blowing up. Tucker calling out Cedric, Mackenzie supporting Tucker, just the whole place falling apart. And I love it. Now, if I was inside the house, we had that once or twice. Sam called an HOH meeting early, our house meeting early in our season. I don't remember what he had to say. And then we had the big Taco Tuesday blow. We had a few blow-ups. And I remember sitting in that house every time just saying, oh, God, just don't say my name. Just don't. Y'all stay on it. Don't say my name. Inside the house, so incredibly stressful. And you're just hoping that you don't become collateral damage. But as viewers, oh, my gosh. Y'all see the smile on my face? It's fun. This is, I say, but all the time, I don't want anyone to have it easy in that house. I want people to have to fight from day 1 to day 89, 99, whatever it is, to win this thing. And I think there's a lot of people fighting right now. I think there's a lot of people who are suddenly discovering that maybe the game didn't quite as easy as they thought. I had heard Quinn talk about how easy it was. I heard Joseph talk about how easy it was. I heard T-Core talk about how easy it was. It doesn't get easier. It gets harder as you go into the season and you get rid of some of these early targets. And with all of that, Angela is still around. Angela is no longer on the block. She will be here for another week. The person who was such a solidified house target, oh, we got to get Angela out. You know, it's going to be easy. Everyone wants Angela out because of her blow up on that Saturday morning. So suddenly she's way down on the totem pole of people who have targets on their back, right? It's like Hunger Games. There's targets everywhere. Just fire your arrow. You're going to hit someone because there's so many targets. And they're doing it to themselves. All right, well, let me get to some questions because can y'all tell a passion? I could talk a soliloquy for the next hour. And y'all don't want that. I don't want that. I know Sharon doesn't want that. So let's look at some questions. Brian Hostetler, how do you think you would do if this was the season you were on first? That's tough because I went in my season saying, I hope there's not a huge alliance. Well, that's what I got. And if there isn't, I'm going to try to find the strong players and try to align with them and make sure there's some people playing a little too hard that can be early, easy targets. So my season, I had the big alliance. My first 4, 5, 6 weeks was just about what can I do to break up that alliance and make sure I survive until that happens. This is a whole different ballgame here. Yeah, we've got the collective, which is 7, 8, 9 people, depending on who all they bring in. They were talking about bringing in, well, Brooklyn kind of showed up, and then Rabina, I think, was being talked about. Collective's the big alliance, but it doesn't have the power of Grateful 8 or Undeniable during my season. If I was in that house, I would have started off trying to align with some of the other older people in there just because I think that would have ended pretty quick. I probably would have found, I would have focused on Tucker as being the person playing too hard and tried to keep the target on him as much as I could. I think that's the first thing. Who would I have aligned with in there? I'm trying to think of people that were moderately good players. I'll say this, maybe Quinn. Maybe Quinn because he knows the game well enough. And being a huge Big Brother fan myself, I would have gravitated to someone like that. So perhaps Quinn. And the other thought I would have had is, well, as long as he's doing all this stuff, he'll get the heat. He'll get the attention. Eventually, someone's going to take him out. But until then, I can kind of ride some coattails and let him be the guy that's hitting the heat more than anyone's or getting the heat. So maybe Quinn. I don't know. It's so hard to say. I probably would have gone towards Kenny and working with him. I can't stand the fact that he was theoretically willing to quit. Not so much now. I may have gravitated towards Kenny just because of similarities, but the reality is Kenny and I wouldn't have both been in a house. If I was in a house, it would have been in the place of Kenny. So, a little bit different situation. I don't know. It's such a different season than I had. There's so much more fluidity going on right now, which I like. I hated that big alliance in my season, but you adapt, you work with what you got. All right, Marilyn Sutherland is saying, excited to see who America puts up. Has Tucker lost his mind? I don't know what's going through Tucker's mind. I think Tucker has not tasted defeat yet of any sort. I mean, it's one of those deals, kind of like I don't know, your favorite dog will go chase after every little animal and critter and everything else until the first time that a cat, a snake, a turtle, something snaps at its nose, and then suddenly it's a little more cautious. I feel like no one has been able to snap at Tucker yet. He's pretty much done what he wanted to do. And maybe he'll continue doing that. Maybe he's going to be like Michael from a couple of seasons ago, just a veto comp beast that just continues to win and win and win. Now, the problem is every time you do that, it makes you a bigger target. And eventually there's going to be a time where you don't win and someone's going to take you out. So I think Tucker is just doing too much. He's trying to be a strategic threat. He came up with this idea about, I'm not going to take myself off the block. I'm going to take Angela off so I can compete against these others come Thursday night and all of that. So strategically, I'm not saying it's a bad idea, but I am. But strategically, he seems to be willing to play the game hard. Competitive wise, he's athletic. He's going to win his share of competitions. That is a dangerous combination in that house. And again, I think every time that Tucker has a success, everyone else notices that it's a success. And it just, the more he feels ramped up, the more everyone else around him is noticing how well he's playing the game and how ramped he is. Eventually, it's going to come to a halt. He really, if he wanted to be the comp beast, fine. Just sit back, let other people call the shots, and be a comp beast. Win a few that can support your team so people want to hold on to you, but not win so many that suddenly you're viewed as the guy who's going to win all the comps to the very end. But the fact he's combining that plus strategic games, I just think it's he's a rocket that's burning way too fast. He'll never hit orbit because he's just all these analogies. I just think it can't last this kind of energy. He's going to get too many people upset eventually. Now, if he proves me wrong, he's going to be one of the greats. But I just don't see it happening. There was no need, I don't think, this week to do something as crazy as getting Quinn. Quinn only has one more week of this power. Now, could he have used it next week? Yeah, and maybe he would have, maybe he wouldn't. But I just don't know that you had to be so aggressive about flushing the power, about getting Quinn out right now. There's too many ways it could backfire, and we're seeing some of it right now. What a show. All right, let's see what else we've got on here. Tammy Flanagan. Oh, someone asked who about voting. Who's everyone going to vote for America's vote? Yeah, so busy talking about Tucker. I don't know yet. And I'll tell you, I'll give y'all a couple ideas about who I'm considering voting for, but don't vote because I'm voting on them. I don't have any more regency. Is that a word? I don't know. Vote for whoever your least favorite, because that's really it. We're not voting for who we like the most. We're voting on who we want to see go up on the block. And there can be all different kinds of reasons for that, because let me give you an example. And here's the thing. We don't know if you get one vote. We don't know if you get 40,000 votes. If you can dial, well, I guess you don't dial anything anymore, right? Showing my age. If you can call on your phone enough times, I'm assuming that probably after Wednesday night's episode, they're going to say, all right, America, it's your choice. Who's going on the block? Go out to CBS.com and pick your thing, or you have 5 votes. I vote as much as you like over the next 24 hours. Polls will close an hour before tomorrow night's live eviction. So I think these house guests aren't going to find out who the third person is until right before the AI BB Arena competition. So everyone's going to be getting ready, not knowing, am I on tonight? I don't know what's going on. At some point, Julie will come on and announce that, all right, the person on the block is blah, blah, blah. You and Tucker and Kenny head on out to the backyard or wherever it is for AIBB competition. It's going to be that quick, I think, which God, makes for quite as stressful, because it's a little bit like a double eviction episode in that almost anyone in that house can go home. Now, we know it can't be Mackenzie because she used this secret power to pull herself off today. We know it can't be Cedric because he is the HOH, and we know that it can't be Angela because she was pulled off by Tucker. So there's only 3 people. Anyone else, it's fair game. You have to be mentally prepared to go into that arena and potentially fight for your life Thursday night, which is incredible. All right, so who am I going to vote for? If I just have numerous votes and can share the wealth, so to speak, there's a couple of people, and it's just based on kind of why I'm voting the way I am. There certainly could be an argument made for voting for Quinn, just for the drama of Thursday night of seeing Quinn and Tucker competing against each other. Can you see Quinn and Tucker on the final couch arguing against each other about why they should be allowed to stay in the house? The drama that would make would be incredible. So a vote for Tucker would be fun. Now, I hate to lose Tucker or Quinn, either one, this early, just because they make for such great TV. But I could certainly see Quinn as being an option. Cam is someone I would consider, only because I feel like Cam hasn't really contributed yet to the game. He hasn't really. He's sitting on the sidelines right now, which from a strategy, from a survival in the house, it isn't a bad thing. But in terms of me sitting at home watching TV, he hadn't added to the equation that much. It sounds horrible when you say it, but he's a piece of furniture in the house right now, which again, it isn't a bad strategy. It's just a little boring at times. So I could see an argument being made for Cam, force him into the game to play a little bit and get a little bit more involved. The 2 others that I would potentially consider voting for is T-Core or Joseph. And I know those are completely oddball choices, and there ain't well, maybe Joseph. I don't think so, but T-Core isn't a chance in the world she's going up. So it would be a completely wasted vote. But I would consider those 2 only because I have heard both of them on the live feeds talk about how easy this game has been so far. Oh, this is a piece of cake. This is just there's nothing to this. Joseph in particular referred to himself as the star. Diary room calls. Oh, y'all want to talk to the star, huh? And oh, this is fantastic. So easy. I just want to see people knock down a notch or 2, which is why. And then T-Core made the statement about that at one point as well, that I remember. So yeah, I don't know that I'll really call in votes for T-Core, because I want to see what she does. I think she's a little bit like Cam in that she's kind of sitting back, but she's participating in a lot of conversations. What a heck of a listener, though. T-Core, I swear Leah's favorite saying is I like this, which is sometimes a little tough, but T-Core's favorite saying is, mm-hmm. She's a master of listening to other people and pulling in a lot of information, which will carry a person far. But yeah, those are kind of the people I'd vote for. Y'all tell me who y'all vote for. Am I missing someone? Is there some big target that y'all just want to see go up on the block against Tucker and Kenny? There's a lot of folks. I don't know there's a bad choice amongst all of the people in this house, just for the drama it's going to create. All right, Mark Taylor is saying, what's your opinion of Leah and Chemo's game so far? I don't know. I think Leah reminds me a little bit, and this may be unfair, and maybe this is me stereotyping a little bit, which I shouldn't be doing, but I think of Leah a little bit like Kat from my season, where she's playing a bit of a role. I feel like she's playing a little more flippant and flirty and everything else, when inside I think there's a lot more to her than we're not necessarily seeing all the time. I feel like Kat played the same game. Kat was brilliant the way she played, but we didn't know that for the first part of the season. She was just kind of Kat, the emotional girl over there running around. Now, there was a lot to Kat. And I think the same thing with Leah. I think she has a better feel for this game than maybe I assumed, or that people in the house are thinking. I think she's playing an okay game. It's dangerous when she's flirting so much with Cam and using him to kind of get her entry into so many different groups that maybe she's not really a part of. Because really, if it comes down to it, she and MJ or Mackenzie, I still don't know whether to call her Mackenzie or MJ. I go back and forth, but I feel like Leah and MJ Mackenzie they're together, but if either one of them is out the door, the other one's left a little bit spinning in the wind. Now I know there's other women that Rubina and Chelsea and others that maybe they can. Well, maybe not Chelsea. Chelsea's not the biggest fan of Leah, and it may have something to do with Cam and a little flirting and all that. But there are other ladies in the house like Brooklyn that either one of these girls could gravitate towards if the other one went home. But yeah, I think Leah's smart, but I think she's got to be careful and make sure that she's developing plenty of relationships all over the house. Chemo, I don't know. Chemo, I just was expecting someone a lot more stirring the pot is a little bit, but just also a lot more fun. And that sounds like it's a dig on him. It's just, I feel like Chemo walks around just feeling perpetually sad in his house or perpetually feeling uncomfortable. And that's not as much fun for me. I think he's playing a pretty good game. I mean, no one wants to send Chemo out the door, right? So that right there tells me he's playing a heck of a game. He's got a lot of friends in this house. Everyone, whether they're playing with him or he's there, but we're not necessarily playing right next to him. It doesn't matter. I don't think there's anyone in this house who dislikes Chemo, which is kind of a good thing. I mean, right? That's always good, regardless of how your gameplay is. He's doing something right, that he's really developing these bonds, which you're only going to pay off the longer and longer he goes. He just needs to be aware that at some point he's going to need to do some things to take some ownership of this game. And I haven't seen it from Chemo yet, but we got a lot of game left. Now, the idea, because if I remember, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, Quinn told Angela about his power, but he also told Chemo. And then Chemo told a few other people. I feel like it was through Chemo that a lot of people found out about Quinn's power, and this house blew up because of it and all of that. For all I know, a little further down the road, Chemo's going to say, there's a reason that I told everyone about Quinn's power. I was trying to stir the pot. I was trying to create a lot of chaos that didn't involve me to take all the heat off of me. And if he says that, all kinds of power to him. Did y'all know during my season, real quick, and we'll go to the question. During our season, there was a time where I was on the block against Kat, and Nick and Mick and Tommy reached out to me. Oh, Cliff, we want you to be part of our group. And if you are, promise to go after Mickey. And if you do, we'll save you this week. We'll send Kat out the door. I'm like, you're saving me. You're sending her out. Deal. And no problem at all. I am absolutely in for that, guys. No problem at all. Do you know who spilled the beans on that to Jessica? Nicole did, because Nicole was worried about our position in the house, which fair enough. We would be low people on that side of the totem pole, which I got, but it was giving me safety. So, short term, whatever. I'd do whatever it takes. But Nicole spilled the beans to Jessica, which led to the whole blow up there. I don't know that anyone ever knew it was Nicole until later in the season, when she told me and then later told a couple of people that were left in the house. But yeah, that was Nicole stirring some things out while still staying back and out of the limelight with it. Maybe Chemo did the same thing. So we'll see. All right, let me All right, let me check this out real quick. Dr. Bose, thank you for it's a super tag. I don't even know what to call these things. Thank you so much for that. I do these shows because I have so much fun, but when I get a little super stamp like that, I always appreciate it. Thank you, sir. I appreciate it so much. Dr. Bose said, Cliff, with all of Kenny's talk about self-eviction, how much money does he stand to lose? Well, that's really interesting, because if I haven't gone back and looked at my contract that I signed once upon a time and all that, but if you self-evict, if you don't follow through and play the way you're supposed to and everything else, you potentially risk losing everything. And when I say everything, we get stipends. I don't know how much they get now. I know how much we got when I was there. And not a huge amount, but it builds up. 13 weeks times something is a little more than something. So if he walked out the door right now, he's got 3 weeks or so worth of stipends, which is not huge, especially for someone like Kenny. That'd probably be okay to lose that. But it's more than just the money. It's also the chance to come back out for the finale night, the chance to maybe be involved with CBS's Big Brother's Instagram pages. The people who go out as pre-jury, for example, Ovi during my season, Sam, Kimmy, David, they got to do some pretty cool stuff while they were watching the game. And a lot of people wanted to talk to them throughout the season and all that. So there are certainly some perks for the folks that are pre-jury. He'd be giving all of that out. He just becomes a persona non grata. Besides all the fact that just a lot of people on social media are going to give you a hard time. They're already giving him a hard time just the fact he considered leaving. So yeah, there is certainly some money to be lost. But I think more than that, it's just the opportunities that you lose. And more than that, you just don't quit this game. Tens of thousands of people try out for it. You took someone else's spot to go into that house. And if he's serious, and I don't know, it could be a game strategy for all I know. It could be like Dr. Will or Dan's funeral or someone else. But if he truly has just decided he wants to go because he misses his family after a couple of weeks, man, he shouldn't have been cast anyway. And I hope that's not the case. But yeah, he does stand to lose a little money as well. All right. YTCJCS star 1015 used to be able to roll off my tongue. Saying crazy how these house guests can't stick to an alliance without blowing up, or just creating 100 different ones, or causing chaos. Only the third week, great TV. I agree with you. And then Julia Shepard saying, is Cedric being wimpy? He originally wanted Leah, and then bowed to the wishes of others. Yeah, let me talk about the alliances first. There's so many of them out here. I can't even keep track. I watch these live feeds, and we're not supposed to have rewind. I figured out a way to record, and so I can go back a little bit and all that. But people start talking, and it's like, is that an alliance? I thought y'all already had an alliance with these people you're trying to form up with. And I check, and it's like, all right, well, Brooklyn wasn't part of it, but Cam was. So they're flipping out one person, not the other. And then you've got the Pentagon, and then outside the Pentagon, you've got the Collective, and you've got Final Twos. Quinn's got a Final Two with, there 13 other people in the house right now. He's got a Final Two with 16 or 17 people. I think he got alliances with the fish upstairs. I mean, there's a lot of people, and I get it. You're covering your bases. You don't want anyone who offers you a working opportunity. You say, sure, absolutely. But I feel like there's a difference between saying, yeah, let's work together versus saying we're in it to the end. And there's something to be said even for those. You get a couple of different spots, but this idea that you have one alliance and then another alliance, which is almost exactly the same except for a person or two, it's just, I don't know how to keep track of it. And I've seen a few times where they didn't, where they're like, is that person? The most funny thing was the Collective. Brooklyn showed up, and Joseph was like, how'd she get here? Who invited Brooklyn into this group? She just happened to be in the room and assumed she was part of the group, and everyone just starts talking. And so now she is. I think Joseph assumes it was Chelsea. I think it probably was Chelsea that invited Brooklyn, but she just kind of randomly came in. I feel like Cam was the same way with the ball players. He just kind of walked in, and next thing you know, he's part of an alliance. They're crazy. And it's short. It is early in the week. Even though it's as crazy it's early in the week. Another couple of weeks, probably even after this week, we're seeing sides develop, right? We're seeing people who are being forced. It's easy when you've got easy targets because you can promise everything to everyone and it doesn't matter because your loyalty hasn't been tested. Suddenly now you've got Quinn and Tucker and MJ and Cam or Chelsea, and suddenly now people are being asked to support one or the other. Who are you going to spend your time with talking to as everyone's upset with each other? You're forced to declare some loyalties, and that's going to force these alliances to start solidifying a little bit. So you'll see a little bit less of that. Okay, that was the question about the alliances. Julia's saying, about Cedric being wimpy. I think the issue was that you either go all in or you don't go in at all. I think Cedric could have easily said, look, I came in saying I didn't want blood on my hands. I wanted an easy HOH. And yeah, Tucker, I know you got all these plans, but if you want to do all that stuff, you win HOH and you can put up whoever you like. I mean, you can say that politely and everything else, but if that's truly what Cedric wanted, well, forget these people who are throwing out. It's easy to throw out ideas when you're not the person that's in charge having to make those decisions. If you are going to go big and make this big move, before you commit to it, you've got to really know that you're going to do it, because going forward and then pulling back, all that does is create animosity and bad feelings, and people that don't feel like you can really be dependent upon. And I think that's the problem that Cedric had, was that he agreed to this, and then suddenly now he's spilling the beans on Quinn. But I think more than anything else, and I haven't seen a lot of the feats today, I've just seen little clips and heard about them, but it seems to me that maybe Cedric letting Tucker pull Angela off the block and then having all this revealed is where the real issue was. I think if Cedric last night had gone to Tucker and said, look, I'm not saying it's a bad idea, I'm just saying I don't want to be the guy in the HOH room when it happens. So don't use your power on Angela. Use it on yourself, because I am going to put up Mackenzie. I feel like if he had brought Tucker in and told him exactly what he was going to do, he could have salvaged a lot of this. But at the end of the day, yeah, Cedric let Tucker basically, for a little while, let Tucker run his HOH by coming up with his grand plan. And then he got cold feet. And so now he's alienated people on both sides. We'll see how that affects him going forward. But yeah, you can't. And I feel for Cedric. I know during my season, I got HOH. Oh, the people after the season where I was saying, you should have sent Christy home. You could have flipped on her, lied to her, and sent her home anyway, and done this and that. And oh my gosh, it would have been incredible. Well, yeah, as a viewer, it would have been incredibly incredible. But I also probably would have been pre-jury, because then I would have had a lot of people gunning for me and not thinking that there was a whole lot of trust that they could assign to me. Sometimes you have to do not what's the popular decision, but what's best for your game. And in Cedric's position, yeah, get out a big player like Quinn maybe helps the house, helps other people in this game who may fear Quinn as a strong player. But Quinn wasn't coming after Cedric. If he didn't do anything to Quinn, whether Quinn used the HOH next week or not, he wasn't coming after Cedric. Cedric could have played it low, let other people take the big shots. I just think it's too early in the season. Now, you reach a point we saw last season where maybe people waited too long to do some of this. There's that sweet spot. I don't think we're there yet. So, yeah, I think Cedric didn't have as successful an HOH as he thought he was going to have. He's got everyone mad at him. He's got even things where he tried to keep the blood off his hands by saying, look, I'm not going to decide who goes back on the block as renom. I'm going to let it be a house majority. Everyone tell me what you want to do. Well, then he turns around and tells MJ that everyone in the house basically wants you out, MJ. That's why I have to put you up. Well, then he's got people like Chelsea and Brooklyn that are upset, saying, well, you're blaming it all on us that Mackenzie went on the block. You need to take some blame yourself, Cedric. And he didn't do that. And yeah, I don't think he thinks the game of Big Brother is so easy anymore, right? It's not. It's hard. It's hard. And there's certainly a learning curve, which they are all going through right now. All right, Marion is saying, how long does the house stay unsettled after a blow up? Everyone is different. I always try to just calm things down. In life, I've always been, I guess, a little bit of a mediator, or the person who tries to get people to go talk to each other and all that. And I probably did that a little bit in the house as well. I saw these blowups while I was in the house as opportunities. Mickey banished me on day one. Within an hour of me being back in the house, I was in there saying, look, everyone's going to think I'm upset with you. We're going to have friction. Perfect chance for me to work with you. No one's going to know about it. Same thing after I got blindsided. I won the battle back. I went to, before I even won HOH, I went to Tommy and said, look, I'm not I'm gunning for you. I'm hoping when this alliance falls apart that you and I can work together. So I saw the chaos as chances to grab some people and develop some relationships that would help me further in the game. And I think for the most part that worked. If enough people are trying to do that, then the worst enemies can maybe sometimes come back together, and it doesn't last that long. But sometimes people have grudges. Sometimes it never ends until forever. I mean, I think when Nick went out the door in my season, he was upset at Christy up until the very end, and even on into the jury house and everything else. So I don't know. I did see at one point Cedric talking to Tucker saying, look, yeah, I'm glad we can be, grown-ups about it. And yeah, it's game and we're maybe different sides and not agreeing with each other, but but I still respect you. I still love you. And Tucker's saying the same thing. Is that just fake? Is it just kind of kissing up? Well, maybe. I mean, there'll still be some hard feelings in a while, but sometimes it's just like in the real world. Sometimes people carry grudges forever. Sometimes you have a yelling, screaming, fighting match, and in an hour later, a day later, it's like, all right, we got our system now. Now we're cool with each other. So, same way in the house. You just never know. It depends on the people. But this season, I feel like there's some people who carry some grudges, whether they admit it or not. I really am wondering when it comes to jury, are we going to have a bitter jury? I feel like for the past few seasons, we've had juries that respected the players in the game. Could have a little bitterness in this jury. Last season, I thought there were a few people who'd be bitter jurors, and they kind of were. But I could see a lot of them this season as well. We'll see. All right. Dominique saying, new subscriber. Well, welcome, Dominique. I'm glad to have you on board. Thank you, thank you, thank you. New subscriber. Love your content and appreciate your perspective on the game. Well, thank you. I would like to think that part of being a fan, but also being in the house, sometimes maybe I can appreciate some of what they're going through, and that helps a little bit. So thank you. I appreciate it. Consider subscribing and turning on those notifications. All right. But thank you, Dominique. I appreciate it. Doreen Morris is saying, we'll be here as long as I have electricity. Tropical storm Debbie in my area. All right. I feel for you. I empathize with you. We went through it with Hurricane Beryl. I know Florida, Georgia, the Carolinas, y'all are getting hammered. Thoughts and prayers go out to you. If you do lose power, you're going to have much more important things to worry about than Cliff Notes Live. But if you're looking for something to get your attention, it is on replay. So somewhere down the road, you can consider this part of your transition back to electricity and the regular old world. All right, I'm not being flippant. Maybe I am, but I actually am. I hope everything goes well, and it's a glance and moves right back out before it gets too bad. Thoughts with you on that one. All right, Bev77 saying, who will be evicted on Thursday? And Julia saying, is Tucker in danger of going home? Yeah, I think so. Now, would I bet on Tucker going home? No, I think this house is going to continue to start chilling out, especially because everyone is so worried about this vote taking place. So I think come Thursday, when they announce whoever this person is that's becoming the third person on the block, I think there's going to be a lot of people in this house who, as soon as they hear that name, go, God, thank you. It wasn't me. I'm so happy. And I think the adrenaline is going to start running out a little bit. And I think there's going to be a lot of people saying, we don't need any more chaos. Let's just do what we should have done to the first of the week and make it easy. I think you'll see everyone coming together a little bit as we get closer and closer to Thursday. We no longer have Angela on the block. We've got Tucker, we've got Kenny, and we've got random mysterious person we don't know yet. We'll see. I think Kenny is still in danger. I think a lot of the women will certainly go after Kenny because he's been kind of the impetus behind this. There's a girls' alliance and all that. And I think there'll be enough guys that are ready to kind of abandon him. Cam, I think, is ready to abandon Kenny because he got associated with the ball players and he didn't necessarily want to be associated with them. So if Kenny is on the block, I think everyone's just going to say, why are we messing with this so early? Just send Kenny out the door. And I think he could go out the door. If Tucker's still on the block, it depends on who he's on the block against. If it's Tucker versus Quinn, I don't know. I kind of think that people may go after Quinn in that kind of situation. If it's Tucker versus, I call it a Joseph, call it a Leah. It depends. Tucker's got some work to do between now and Thursday. He better be a little more contrite, a little more, hey, I want to work with you, and it's us. It's not just me, it's us. He needs to stop the lone wolf. I'm gonna be the Lone Ranger. I'm gonna call the shots. I'm gonna be the one that saves the rest of us. We don't need a Superman. We need a team player at this point in time, and I think Tucker needs to fall back into that role for the next few days in order to get people feeling like they can work with Tucker going forward. I just feel like a lot of people have burned bridges as a result of what's happened. Quinn, there's people all upset with. I listened to Rubina saying, Quinn, I kind of get why you didn't tell everyone, and it's not that. And Quinn says, well, I'm sorry. She said, don't be sorry. She said, it just makes me question everything else that you've said about us. Brooklyn is saying, well, now I know why he wanted to be in the pedal room sleeping with us. He was just there to get information. So Quinn has lost a lot of people's trust. It's going to be hard to get back. Tucker, I think people are going to be a little more hands off just because he seems like a bit of a firecracker. When you mess with dynamite, it can blow up in your face. And so I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah, I think Tucker could go home, especially if he continues to ramp up that it's him versus the world and it's him saving the world. Do that, and people may just say, yeah, we don't need you to save the world. I want to be that person. I think it's possible he's going to go home. I would not bet on it, especially if Kenny's still there. If Kenny pulls himself off the block, all bets are off, because it just depends on who they're up against. But I'm telling you, wouldn't it be exciting if Kenny comes off the block and it's Tucker versus Quinn? They're sitting there in those two chairs together. If they do that, I hope to God that Julie Chen says, all right, I've talked to CBS. Instead of y'all having a minute and a half each to give your little speech, you got 5 minutes each. Go to town. Y'all go after each other. Say whatever you want. We'll be here as long as you are. Say what you need to do and campaign with who you need to campaign with. That could be a lot of fun. All right. Where do you go when challenges aren't in the backyard? All right. Very good question. Let's talk about that. We had a veto competition that one person at a time did the veto. Now, we saw in the episode last night, the HOH competition, where a person came out one at a time and ran around the rails and all of that. In that situation, my guess is that everyone was just standing right behind the wall, between the wall and the entrance into the HOH house, just standing there waiting for their turn to be called. Maybe they were just inside the HOH house waiting so they couldn't hear people falling or anything. That's possible as well, but just standing there ready to be called because it was, they wanted them out there to do it and all that. For the veto competitions, the way it works, 6 people playing, right? Normally the way it works is that the people who are not playing in the veto all get locked in the HOH room. They're locked down and they play some music. They're not allowed to talk about any game whatsoever. Everyone's told, if you talk any game, we're going to turn the music off. And then everyone else in this room is going to hate you. So do not talk games. So everyone goes up there. They just chat about non-game stuff. They get to listen to music for the entire time. The 6 people who are competing in veto, we each get randomly assigned a starting order. You go first, second, third. You draw a chip to see what position you play in the game. And then you're also randomly assigned a different room to go into to wait until it's your turn. I think the rooms were, during my season, it was the boat room. For some reason, I always got assigned the boat room, and I always love that. But one person is always assigned to the boat room. Someone else is assigned to the diary room. Someone else is assigned to the storage room. One person gets one back bedroom. Another person gets the other back bedroom. And then the 6th person has to go up to the have-not room. And so those are the 6 different locations. You stay there until the loudspeaker comes on and says, all right, Cliff, it's your turn. Go on down to the HOH or the exit to the backyard. And you do that. So we're kept completely isolated. After you do the challenge, typically you're sent back to your place. You're locked in place. And that happens before the next person comes out, because they don't ever want Nicole walking by and saying, did pretty good, Cliff, or the answer was C, or anything that could help the next person. So we aren't allowed to see each other whatsoever while we're in there. So that's how it works. We're locked into different locations throughout the whole thing. All right. Leslie Morgan saying, how much of the cast would you attribute to Houseguest not having BB experience? A lot of it right now, I think. And you can't watch a couple of seasons and think you've got it. You're right. And what do we talk about as fans when we talk about these huge moments in Big Brother? It's the big moves. We don't talk about those weeks where nothing happened and someone made it through their HOH, taking out a decently good target, but not this incredible thing, right? No one talks about those. They talk about Dan's funeral. They talk about, I keep thinking of some right now where someone, you can bounce checks in this house. Yeah, we talk about the moments where someone betrayed someone and it worked out, where someone just had this brilliant move that who would have thought that worked, and yet it worked. That's what we talk about. And so now these house guests, if they haven't really watched Big Brother forever, they're watching, they're hearing the same things. People are like, oh, be like Dr. Will, and all these different strategies. And so that goes into your mind. And everyone as well, We see it on Survivor as well. I think we're just in this era of these reality shows where people feel like it's not enough just to survive to the end. You've got to build a resume. And I talk about it too. You've got to have some ownership. You've got to have something you can point to that you did in this house. And I think people are so eager to play the game because they don't have the experience, not realizing how long a slog this season is. They feel like right now, I've got to make this big move so that people will respect my game when it gets down to the final two. Joseph at one point said something about, I would love to go to the final, just talking to the cameras, saying, I'd love to go to the final two with Cedric. I would not want to go with Quinn because he's too good and all that. I want to go with Cedric because people don't respect his game. And the way I took that was that Cedric's not doing enough that if I get to a final two, they're not going to give him any credit for doing anything. And therefore, I would win because I made more moves. It's so early. Cedric can do all kinds of stuff in the next 10 weeks we've got left or whatever. But yeah, I think that's a lack of experience and not realizing how much time is actually left in this game. Because I'll say this, if I went back into the house, first 4 or 5 weeks, I'm making sure there's other people who are the big targets who are making the huge moves. I'm going to sit back and wait until I've got a more manageable number, and then I'll start making some moves. So yeah, I think a lot of it's Big Brother experience. And some of it's just this cast is just a wild and crazy cast this season. All right, Tim Cox. Thank you, sir. I see that super stamp. I absolutely appreciate it. It's incredible. Thank you. Thank you so much. Has there ever been this many alliances in a season this early? Oh, probably. It seems like last season there were a lot of alliances. You had Red and Cameron who were kind of in a group and not in a group, and you had the professors. I can't remember all of that. There were a lot of alliances last season, it seems like. But even those, it seems like it took a little bit longer to get going, right? I mean, we're night 18 or whatever on my morning recap. So yeah, it is pretty quick. And it depends on how you count alliances. Again, you draw the lines between these people, and it's like a spider web. There's no one who's not connected to everyone else, it seems like, except for Kenny, who was a little late to the game. But even now, he's trying to develop all these different alliances. I don't know. It seems to me like you've got some seasons where you have one big super alliance and everyone's just trying to catch up or survive, which is my season. You've got some seasons like season 20 where you had, was it level 6 and Fote, where you had two groups that were kind of in the very beginning against each other and somewhat equally balanced. And it all came down to, is it my side or is it your side that's going to win HOH this week and drop the numbers of the other one? And then sometimes you just have chaos like this one. And I think part of it is just because I'm blaming it on Angela. I think Angela's HOH just set the tone for this season so far of, no one knew what to do when she was HOH. She came in, everyone thinking, oh, she's going to be the friendly mom. And then she just turned everything on its head. After that was over, they felt for the past few weeks that there's so many easy targets that it's easy to talk about easy targets, but it allows you to make, I think I said this a while ago, allows you to make a lot of promises to a lot of people, and you don't have to be held to them because you're just going off the people that the rest of the house wants. And that's easy until the nose meets the grindstone or whatever they say. And then it gets a little tougher. Yeah, no, I don't know, Tim. There are a heck of a lot of alliances this season. I can't keep track with. I just can't. I try to maintain, the Pentagon, the collective, the ball player. I try to keep focused on the main ones, but they could be gone tomorrow. So crazy. All right, Jan K is saying Joseph and Cedric said they will save Quinn if he got up because they want the power next week, which is a brilliant move. Yeah, Joseph and Cedric, yeah, certainly. I mean, Quinn's not coming after Cedric now that Cedric told him about what was going on, right? He kind of owes Cedric, and Cedric knows that. Joseph is going to feel like he's tight with Quinn. So yeah, no, absolutely. They'll vote to save Quinn, which means theoretically voting against Tucker if the two of them were on the block. I think they would save Quinn. I heard a lot of people talking today while I was able to watch the feeds, Kenny and a few others saying, well, it's not even going to do us any good to win this next HOH. Not only am I in trouble this week, but it's not even going to do me any good to win the HOH next week because Quinn's just going to hijack it. And so what's the point of even trying to win at this point in time? Just let someone else get their HOH hijacked so I can at least compete the following week. It is a huge power that Quinn has. Incredible power. I bet he's hating that people know it's only 4 weeks. Angela at one point told some people that it was 6 when she thought it was still Lisa or whatever. But I think everyone knows it's 4 weeks. And so he'll be forced to kind of use it next week. And yeah, I would hate coming from a person who won HOH and then kind of had it hijacked because Christy had that diamond power veto. I know how frustrating it is where you feel like, all right, I finally have some power. I can call my shot. I can send someone out the door that's not someone that's going to help my game. I may be only one of 2 people, but at least I get to pick who those 2 people are. And then to find out someone's got a power that completely gums that whole thing up. So, yeah, I'm going to feel sorry for whoever wins HOH next week, because you got to be thinking defensively that whoever I put up, unless it's someone that I'm gonna have to find someone that Quinn also agrees to, because otherwise he probably will use the power and take it away from me. So I'm gonna have to compromise and find someone that I'm okay sending home that Quinn is also okay. That's what I did when I sent out Bella in my season. It didn't really bother me that she got sent home. She just had a huge argument with Nicole, not our favorite person at the time. Probably not my top choice, but at least it let me control the veto a little bit. So, yeah, it's going to be tough next week. He may or may not use it. He's told a lot of people he had never intended to use that power, which is why he didn't tell anyone about it. And then he kind of got his hand forced. We'll see. That may change by Monday or Friday when nominations are made. Ronnie Head is saying next week is going to be wild. I hope so. As a live feed watcher, I hope it's going to be wild. It's going to go, it's either going to go one of 2 ways. You're going to continue to have falling out, or you're going to have everyone consolidate back together and say, all right, take a breath. Well, let's just get these easy pre-jury people out, and then we'll fight this battle. This is almost like a couple of armies that just say, go out there and skirmish a little bit. We're not really sending all our forces right now. We're not trying to win right now. We just want to kind of see what the defense is like. So go out there and fire a few rounds and see how we do against them, but then come back and report to us. In some ways, I feel like that with this week, that let's see who's supporting who and who's willing to stand up for who. Then we'll come back, we'll take a breath, and maybe we'll still send Kenny or Angela out because, who cares? And then we'll start playing the game again. I could see a little bit of that, which could mean for a less crazy next week. But if people have grudges, they may say, okay, that's the first shot. This is Lexington Hill. Now, shots have been fired. There's no going back now. We got to take the initiative and make sure that we gain ground while we still can before all those boats come over with more redcoats. I don't know why I'm thinking all the military and stuff. And that it is a game. It's a game of wits. It's a game of strength. It's a game of outwitting the opposition. So, yeah, it could be wild next week. I kind of hope it is. We may need to take a collective breath as viewers because I can't handle 13 weeks of this. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can. But it'll be fun. All right. Patricia Miller saying, when do you think punishments will happen? Oh, that's a good question. When did our punishments happen? We had punishments in week 6 when Tommy had to run around with this noise and lights and smells, and Jack had that little alien and all of that. Oh, I take that back. We had week 5. We had punishments with Tommy and Christy on Poison Ivy, where they had to go around with their little suits and their pink stuff painted all over them. So that was week 5. Yeah, somewhere there. I could see maybe they didn't have nots this week. And I wonder, seems like some people maybe were feeling a little ill, a little sick or whatever. A little food poisoning maybe. I don't know. We have a few chefs in the house, but someone maybe didn't quite do what needed to be done. We got have not stopped for whatever reason. With that, if it's another week next week without have nots, you could have a punishment taking place. I would say either next week or the week following will probably be the punishment. This will be fun. I'm trying to think who would wear the costume and have the most fun doing it. And when I say most fun, I'm saying who would hate wearing the costume the most, which would be the most fun for me to watch it. And I don't know, someone like Leah, she'd have too much fun doing it. T-Core, put T-Core in a giant star costume, or make her walk around and be a little more vocal, would be kind of interesting. Chemo's the same way. Make Chemo do some goofy stuff. Yeah, a few people would be fun. Some people enjoy the punishments. It gives them a chance to kind of act a little bit and be a little silly. And it's not my fault. It's because I have to, because I'm in my punishment costume. So that'd be fun. We'll see. 7:56, so quick. All right. Pap17 is saying, what are the big bags of clothes I keep getting in the storage room? Yeah, isn't that interesting? That's a little different. We never got that. But here's how it works. When you show up, you've got snatched away from your house. You're in sequester. You're waiting for the game to start. One of the things that happens is one afternoon or at one point in time, people come in and they take all your clothes and they look through all your clothes and say, okay, this is good. This is good. This has a logo. It's not going to work. This may be okay, but it may be too wide. It may wash out in front of the cameras. So they basically have these different piles of what you can definitely take in, what you definitely can't take in. And then they have another pile of clothes and they say, we'll let you know. We're going to take these with us. We'll check it out. We'll do some camera tests, things like that. And at the end of that, during my season, they then said, okay, these were good. These weren't. And I packed them and carried them in with me. It seems like these house guests, for whatever reason, only got a handful of clothes to start with. And now they're getting more clothes to kind of complement what they already have in the house. Did you notice when they moved into the house this season, they didn't have those little black Big Brother bags that we carried in? We were told you're going to have a big suitcase with most of your stuff, but pack enough clothes to last you for 2-3 days first. And so we had the little bag that we carried a lot of clothes in, then the rest of it all came in a suitcase. Maybe I haven't seen suitcases yet. So maybe they just were told, we'll give you clothes a little at a time. When they are leaving, they're walking back out with the black Big Brother bag. So they've got some stuff packed. The rest maybe just gets left behind. I don't know. It's something like that. I think they're just getting extra clothes that they had to test out. Angie Hung. Angie, I'm so glad you're out here. Saying, I want another Angela Holt just for fun. One second. Position. Glasses a little bit. I want another Angela HOH. Okay, that makes sense. I was thinking, what's Angela's last name? And all I could think was Cartwright. But Angela Cartwright was from Lost in Space a long time ago. Oh, old TV show. I want another Angela HOH. Well, you may get it, Angie. Wouldn't that be something? Who would Angela go after if she won another HOH? And the rest of the house guests, would they kiss up to her? Would they just try to avoid her completely? Would they just throw their hands up and say, yeah, just do what you're going to do? Someone like Joseph and Quinn got so burned trying to make her part of the collective and she didn't believe them and all that. Yeah, I would love to see another Angela HOH because I do not believe that she can ever be HOH without the power going to her head. I think it would be just like the first week, no matter what she's promising to anyone. That'd be fun. All right, Nate Clark is saying, I have a feeling that Tucker just decimated his position while MJ helped hers. I think that's valid. I think Mackenzie's doing a good job. Captain Clutch is saying Tucker is making the game so much more interesting. It's awesome. I agree. As viewers, fantastic. If I'm Tucker's coach or whoever, his little guardian angel, I'm saying slow your roll, guy. You don't have to do it all at once. Frenchie is not who you need to be modeling your game after, Tucker. And I feel like Frenchie had kind of the same stuff. Of course, Tucker's going to last longer than Frenchie, so give him more credit. But now I agree. I think I definitely think that Tucker has hurt his game with some of this. It's just more than was needed. And I do think Mackenzie has done a very good job of distancing herself. It was her and Matt, right? I mean, Matt, who got sent home first, and she was his tightest connection. It would be easy to put her up. And she had a power as well. And yet she does a good job. I noticed when Cedric got HOH, MJ was the first person up to the HOH room. She didn't even have the HOH. He didn't even have the HOH room. First person up to visit Cedric while he was still just in the bumper pool lounge area to talk to him. And then she was the last person up there. I think she had an excuse of, can I get a White Claw or something? She just wanted to be the last person to talk to Cedric for the evening. MJ's doing a fantastic job. But yeah, I think Tucker has definitely hurt his game on this. All right, with that, guys, 8:01. I knew how fast this was go. We're gonna have to shut it down. If you ask, and I've tried to go through all the comments, I'm sure I missed some. If I missed something, send me a DM here or on Twitter or on Instagram. I try to answer all of them. So send me your question. We'll cover that, or send it to me and ask if we can cover it next week, and I'll see what I can do. But we'll do that. But it doesn't end here. For those of you who may be new to the show and not be aware of it, I do morning updates every morning. I record as quick as I can, but some of these house guests stay up kind of late as well. But I put together a little 20-minute or so recap of everything that happened overnight. It's not live. You just have to listen to me the whole time. But I'll give a recap of everything that happened throughout the evening, just so you can stay up to date without having to stay up all night long and watch live feeds. That's what I do. So check that out. That's where turning on notifications is huge, because you'll know as soon as it drops. So please consider checking out my morning recaps. For those of you who who are watching all the live feeds yourself and don't care as much about it, every Monday night we're here. I'm here to answer the questions. I'm here to share the joy of the game that is Big Brother. And I thank y'all for it. I absolutely do. Guys, y'all have a fantastic Monday. Have a fantastic week. I will be back next Monday, and who knows what kind of chaos will be reigning at that time. Until then, SKD143, please consider a subscription. Please turn on notifications. Please, a thumbs up would be fantastic. Have a great one, guys, and I will see y'all next Monday, and I'll see you tomorrow morning as well. Cheers, my friends. Bye. Bye, guys.